Same spot as the last time they went for it, but they called a halfback screen. It won't be called here. Petty taking a shot. It is Carl Moss into the end zone. Jeff Master from 36 yards out.
Great job, not just holding on to the football, but keeping his balance, keeping his feet, and then getting that last 5 yards into the end zone. And Georgia needed that. They needed a huge drive, some sort of...
I think we're back. I can't wait for these audio issues to come back as soon as I start the show, for the record. Oh no, Kade, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, no, okay. Every time I start this recording software, when I do it, yeah, I know. If there's anyone else, I'd be scared. Where you've done that one too many times. Anytime I start this show, there's always a buffer, and I'm like, I have a heart attack. Is everything broken or whatever? But so, welcome back to the Cole Mantell Show. It's been 2 weeks. We are back officially. You'll notice we have 3 instead of 4. We're gonna try this as well. But I got David Ware and Kade Padgett. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good. Fun to be back on the podcast. It's been several weeks for me since I've been able to join. So glad to be back. Trying to get back to a somewhat normal level of normalcy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, glad to have you back. I know you've been through a lot the last month or two.
Yeah. But
hey, you got an SEC championship out of it.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, in the seasons that you visit the hospital, you also win the SEC. There is a correlation there.
Absolutely.
And I'll introduce Kade as well. Welcome back to the show, Kade. Also a conference champion, if I should say so myself.
Yes, it is. Thank you to the LSU Tigers for that one.
Yeah, the crazy part about that is I think maybe it was week 3 or 4 on this show. We're talking about how Texas A&M is the surprise disappointment. What the heck's going on? You're what was it, 1-4?
We started 0-3 out of conference. We won our first game, and then we got smoked by Oklahoma. And we sat 1-4 going into week 6.
Yeah. So for a team that was 1-4, God bless the Big 12, because that is hilarious. You guys reel off 3 wins and win the whole damn thing, and well deserved as well. I make fun of it, but God damn, I wish I could go 1-4 to start my conference when I was an AD and win the SEC. That'd be fun. So we are back to our regularly scheduled show. We got the playoffs coming to the CFSL. Obviously, that's going to be a big topic today. We'll just start with the last week, rivalry week. I have 2 guys that had some rivalry week fun. Both won their games. Dave, I think the entire reason you signed up for this show this week is to talk about that game on Tuesday. I will let you start with that.
I'm going to be honest. That game is done and gone. I've actually forgot all about that game, quite honestly. We've had tunnel vision on round 1, and but I will say I'm looking back at it now. I mean, it was a wild week. It's not what we expected, and I will say if anyone is looking at that box score and then looking at Auburn and Colorado has them in round 1 of the playoffs. If you think that box score is any kind of inclination of what to plan for, you're making a major mistake. I think we had a lot of things roll our way just perfectly. I mean, just being 100% honest. I love Beard to death, and I love my team. I love seeing what looks to be a dominant win, but Auburn is much better than that, and to try to beat Auburn like that, you have to have absolutely everything go your way. And you have to have a lot of luck, quite honestly. So they're extremely talented team. 23 wins in the last 3 regular seasons, if I'm not mistaken, or 21 wins, something like that.
Well,
I think it's 21
plus playoffs would be 23, 25-ish, something like that.
I mean, so they are a darn good team, and we just had everything roll our way. Our offense looked good. Our defense looked good. It reminds me much of last year's playoff game in where I had to watch Kade and his Aggies marching up and down the field on us as if we weren't even there. And they they had everything fall their way against us in that game, and it was rough for us. And I feel like we had that kind of performance against Auburn, but I mean, just again, everything had to go right. So I don't want to come on here and act like, oh yeah, we shut them down, we dominated, we killed them. We had a good game plan, put 80 sims in. So anyone who runs sims understands that's a lot of sims in 1 week. So it was a lot of hard work and a lot of great things working in our favor.
So, you talked about that. We talked about this before the show, and I'm definitely going to bring it up just because you brought it up. You guys play Clemson round 1. Auburn plays Colorado round 1. If they both win, Alabama will be looking for their 100th school win, and Auburn will have a chance to beat you on home turf to stop it.
Yep.
What does that mean to you?
There's a rivalry there. There's very few people that I have that rivalry with. That's not just the school; it is the person. And so I feel like me and Beard could be both relocated to different schools, which would be silly, but it don't matter what two schools.
UAB needs a coach.
I mean, I have actually tried to get UAB in before. I would take UAB if I wasn't out.
I've been in their stadium. It's kind of fun. Their new stadium in Birmingham.
Yeah. But me and him just have that rivalry no matter what. But we're good friends. We'll play golf. We know each other real well, and so a win and a loss between me and him, I think, means even more. And then you add the Auburn-Alabama rivalry. And if it works out, we're in round 2, we play each other. If it works out that way, I mean, that's the third or fourth layer of the mountain that is going to be wild. Luckily, we are on home field. And so if we're able to win round 2 and it happens to be against them, that, assuming we get past week 1, which we have to fight for, then it is going to mean a lot more to be able to bring our 100th school win at home. You're talking about school records. I mean, it will be one of the fastest. Alabama will be one of the fastest to win 100 wins. Very few schools have won 100. There's only 4 of them right now. And so Alabama would have an opportunity to be one of the fastest as far as number of games. In fact, looking at it, Texas needed like 100 and almost 200 games. Notre Dame, almost 200 games. Auburn needed over 200 games. Ohio State, they're at 106 and 92, so they won it a little under 200 games. We're at 98 and 56. So we, I think, would wind up being the fastest track right now to win 100, which is pretty impressive.
And I hate to bring this up because you kind of talking about it, but I guess I'll ask you one more question before I move on to Kade and his win this week. But you guys, for all that success, you won the Pitt title. I remember that. I think I called that actually, but no national titles. I would say Alabama, in terms of CFSL history, teams without a championship would be number 1, like waiting for their time.
I mean, I would agree with that. We've, as AD myself, I have been to the second round 3 times. 2 of those times was, the one time was when there was only 3 rounds. Season 10, when Texas A&M made it to the national championship. And I will never forget this play. Time's expiring. Doug Day hits Joe Idle streaking down the right side of the field. Idle, what appeared to be wide open, runs out of gas around the 30-yard line, gets a shoestring tackle inside the 5 as time expires, what would have been the go-ahead score to send us to the championship. It was my second season, and that's as close as I've got to a championship as athletic director. And so, that sticks. So, yeah, I definitely want the opportunity to work myself into a championship game and give the Crimson Tide fans and this locker room, this coaching staff, a championship I feel they deserve.
Sounds good. All right, so I don't want to have Ware say his whole piece without talking to Cade. It's funny because going into this week, I don't know, like we all know the stakes of the Alabama Auburn game. Like it decided the SEC basically this year, and yet Texas A&M, one of the most historic rivalries in this league. Obviously, I think the history of it. I'm just gonna look it up real quick before I say it. Yeah, you guys have played each other since season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously A&M was out of the league for a little bit. They come back, and you won the SEC, and it was a much closer game. I agree with Ware that it was a very close game for a while, Auburn, Alabama, but then Alabama pulled away. 41-30, you guys, I believe, when's the last time you guys beat Texas? You beat them last year?
Yeah, we won the last 2.
Yeah, you've won the last 2. And then before that, your last win against these guys was, what was it?
Ooh.
Season 10. So talk about that with your program.
This is my 3rd season as AD, and me and Ryan talk about it a lot, that we want to establish the Lone Star Showdown as one of the best rivalries. We want to put it up there with the Iron Bowl and the game. And he kicked our teeth in my first season as AD, and we've returned the favor last season. This season was a lot closer. And we came into this game knowing we already had playoffs locked, win or loss, no matter what. We knew we were no worse than the 3 seed, and we knew we win, we can get up to 2. If we win and something else happens in the league, we got a chance to come out with the Big 12 title, and we took care of what we wanted to take care of. And hats off to Texas and hats off to Ryan. It's always one of the toughest games of the season for us. It doesn't matter. It's whether we're 0-7, they're 0-7, or we're both undefeated, number 1, number 2 ranking. It's just it doesn't matter who's on that team. It's going to be a dogfight no matter what. And like we talked about before we went live, we started the season 1-4, and we needed everything to go right to even backdoor our way into the playoffs, let alone a conference title.
God bless the Big 12. I love that conference, man. It's hilarious every year.
It's fantastic, and I mean, it's last year we lost out on the conference title due to the point differential with Colorado, and we won the conference title this year thanks to the point differential of Colorado and LSU beating Oklahoma to force a 3-way tie between Colorado, Texas, and Oklahoma.
Well, not only that, I mean, Colorado, obviously, they'll play Auburn. They were selected last. No one wanted to play them in the draft. But you guys win the Big 12, obviously, 4-1. I think another part of this, Texas A&M, they've been in and out of the CFSL. It's not like Alabama where they've been in, I think it was like since season 7, and they've been in since 6, and they've just been in every season. Texas A&M, 2-4, they leave. Come back season 9-15. And I'm going to talk a lot of shit about your program here, but I promise it's all in good faith.
We're trying to change the narrative.
One of the worst teams in the CFSL when I started calling games in season 12. Like, I like Rev. I thought they had some talent on that team, but like season 2 and 4, they're all right. Season 9-15, one of the worst statistically teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 20, you bring them back. You had a high floor, but to win your first conference title since season 10. To also, by the way, let me check. You guys play Michigan. Assuming you beat Michigan, you guys will have another chance here to go, to that national championship against, it's a tough road. Right? We'll talk about that. Florida State, Oklahoma. You might play Alabama as well. I know Ware's here too. Depending on how that semifinal shakes out. I guess just talk about it, man. You've had what? This is your 3rd year, right?
This is my 3rd year, and we came in at 2-6. My first year, it was always first year's 80s always tough. We sneaked out a tough win against Michigan State in our first game as programs. I always love to throw that out there.
Yeah.
5-3 last year, came in as the 2 seed in the conference and went all the way to the national championship. And 4-4 this year, but 4-1 in conference is all that matters. And we're just trying to change that narrative for a lot of the guys that have been here for a while, because like you said, that season 9 through season 15, they went to the Natty in season 10, but
after season, I should say that 9 and 10, they were very good. I know they were a little flack of that,
but it's just after that, it was just downhill. And to be fair, season 15 was my first season, and A&M recruited me, and I chose to not go to A&M because the recruiting pitch and with the feeling that I got was awful. And I ultimately ended up choosing to go to Michigan. But we want to change the narrative for the guys that have been here for a while and help them understand that this is not the same man. I'm not that person. Obviously, I mean, we're 2 years in a row in the playoffs, and I mean, I want to be able to continue that stretch.
So I'm just looking this up for fun.
Cole, can I throw a stat out there real quick?
I have a
Oh,
stat
gosh.
that's very similar to what you're thinking. You want to say it?
Well, so since the win in season 10, that's when Texas A&M won last time.
Mm-hmm.
Texas had a plus 172 net point differential over A&M prior to your last two wins. The average score was 51-22, and then you have come in and won the last two games. So hats off to you, my friend. I'd stand up and give you a round of applause, but that could cause some controversy.
That was one of the things that we talked about in my locker room as soon as I got in, and we're helping everybody understand what the 12th man is and what we want to be in the league and what we want to build. And I think I sent a screenshot of our last game against Texas before season 20, and we just got absolutely smacked. And I said, and I excused my French, but I said, "This shit stops now." I said, "We're not doing this anymore."
So I think you already know the answer to this question, Kade. You guys, national champion season in season 10. Since season 10, when was the last time, you guys had more than 3 wins in a season?
Oh dear God! Since season 10,
Yeah.
it was last season.
Yeah. The most wins you had between season 10, and granted they left for 4 seasons, but the most wins that A&M had in a season between season 11 and season 21 was 3.
So we got back-to-back seasons over that, so hopefully we're going up.
Yeah, it's so, congratulations to you, and it's well deserved. I think the Big 12 is the knife fight that everyone loves unless you're playing in it, but you get a conference title out of it. You're first in season 10. We'll see how you guys do in the playoffs. You got a tough game against Michigan. Well, I guess we'll transition into that conversation. So we have the bracket. Do you guys have it up? Do you want me to post it in the group chat here as well?
I got it pulled up.
Yeah, I'll throw it in the group chat just in case.
I have it pulled up from Johnny's DM.
Yeah, credit to Johnny because he's one of our guests as well. That's in the group chat, and really great graphics he puts out. So we have it here. We've already talked a lot, I think, about that top left quadrant, Auburn versus Colorado, which I think we're kind of underrating Colorado here. The very good team, very well could leave this bracket. Alabama plays Clemson, and as much fun as it would be for Clemson to win that game, that would be a full chaos scenario if they did. I want to turn your attention to the bottom left bracket, so the number 4 seed area. Obviously, top seed in the bracket, that's you, Kade. A&M playing Michigan at home. You have Florida State and Oklahoma. For those who've been here a while, there's a little bit of simmering rivalry in that matchup, by the way, between DT Hall and Graham. They respect each other, but there's a bit of a rivalry there. And so I guess my point here is, let me pull it up because I had a question on it from the question form as well. So this comes from, Not Horns from Michigan. Big surprise. So it's gonna be Kade versus Ike. We've talked a lot about Alabama and Auburn, but Kade, you get your former mentor. I think this is not the first time you've played each other in the playoffs.
This is the first time I've ever faced off against Michigan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I swore you guys played during the regular season. Okay.
Nope.
So you guys play for the first time, and then if you win, congratulations, you either get DT Hall or Grin. How does that feel?
Well, as soon as the games were over on Thursday night and we saw the 7 teams that were in the vote-in, I texted my coaches. I said, "I want Michigan." I said, "I don't care who's there, unless it's an obvious 3 and 5 team that we just match up significantly better than. I want Michigan." And I know the storylines are going to be there. That's where I came from. There's still some guys that I recruited that are on that team, and it's going to be a heck of a game. And we talk about how David could get his 100th win against Auburn. I could get his 100th win against us.
Yeah. Oh boy. But it's going to be interesting, obviously, because you guys, you beat Michigan, just for argument's sake, because you're on the show and Aaron isn't. Theoretically, right? Your path to the championship goes through, and you made it last season. Again, as a 4, you were lower than a 4 seed, weren't you? You were
we were a 5 seed.
A 5 seed? Okay, I thought you were lower than. No, it was USC. That was like a 7 seed.
USC was a 7. We were the highest ranked 2 seed last year.
Right. Yeah. So it's actually just as a reminder, last year was this number 5 versus number 7 for the national championship. Like you got Michigan, then maybe Florida State or Oklahoma, and then Alabama, Clemson, Colorado, Auburn are your 4 teams on that side of the bracket. Like I think, even Clemson, right, the number 16 seed, if they beat Alabama, there's a chance they make a run. Like anybody on this list, I think has a realistic chance of making it. Like I could see an argument for them. I'm not saying I would pick them, but
we've talked about it a lot of the 80s. It's just there's 1 through 16. It's not an easy pick this year, and you don't really know who's going to come out with it. And I look at our side of the bracket, and 2 of our 4 losses are teams that are on our side of the bracket with Auburn and Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we have the same thing too. I mean, if we're going to move on to the right side of the bracket, I guess I'll start with my team, right? We get UNC, which I like that matchup, and obviously Drake liked it a lot. He picked it over, what were the other options? I think it was like...
it was
Miami or Auburn was our other options, I believe.
Yeah.
So we like that matchup better. But first off, UNC is a pretty good team, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought they were going to roll over the ACC and take it for themselves. And if we win, we get VT, who took us down in early season non-conference play, or we get Texas, who's Texas. I like our chances. Obviously, I'm on the team, but definitely it's going to be the bottom right. It's going to be very tough. And then the top right, I'll let you guys talk here as well. You got Miami and Florida. Again, another Florida matchup in the playoffs after last year. And then Ohio State, USC, which I believe that's also last year they played each other in the playoffs too.
They didn't actually, because Georgia beat Ohio State in the first round, and Georgia played USC the second.
USC just got done beating Ohio State pretty convincingly a few weeks ago.
I think that's why they took them. Yeah.
And we know how hard it is to beat a team twice one season.
I mean, we talked about it as well. I did it to UNC.
Oh, man. I will say this, though. When it comes to beating a team twice in one season, it was either Michigan or Texas for us in the playoffs, and Virginia Tech took Texas before we could. Like my coaches and I talked long and hard. Like we matched up really well with Texas, and we wouldn't mind seeing it in back-to-back weeks.
Texas, I mean, again, every year there's a team, like we all think, oh, Alabama's number 1, so they're automatically going to just roll through. Especially like the last few seasons, I would rather almost be like a 4, 5, 6, 7 seed. Like I think historically they're more successful. You look at a team like A&M will bring you guys up again, or like heck UNC if they beat us, right? They might get VT, a conference foe. I think VT won that game, but again, it's one of those things where I think you said it. No easy matchup, but also anybody could win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one interesting thing talking about rematches: 3 teams on the left side of the bracket we have played this season, and 1 on the right side. So the likelihood of a rematch for us, I mean, guaranteed week in round 1, but we could technically have 3 rematches just to get to the championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for us, I mean, we played VT. We obviously played Ohio State, USC during our conference. I mean, that's kind of how it works, right? And then you have, where were they? Where'd they go? Yeah, Michigan's on the other side. I guess if we're going to have Michigan State again, that'd have to be a national championship rematch. But there's for us too. And I think A&M, I mean, it's the same thing, right? You guys played Oklahoma. You guys played, who else did you play? Colorado.
We played it. Theoretically, we could have an every Big 12 matchup for us if Texas makes it to the championship, Oklahoma wins, and Colorado wins.
Yeah, that's true too. So a lot of rematches in this playoff. I guess we'll put it at that. And before we move on, actually, I have one more question. This is from Adam, actually, the AD of Florida. A playoff draft pick that surprised you that didn't. And I guess we kind of already talked about it. We talked about how Kade took Michigan. You guys, Alabama, I think Clemson was the obvious choice for you guys. Am I correct on that?
No, actually, it was not. In fact, Kade had seen, I did a score risk assessment for every team on how they would match up against our team. And Clemson was, I think, 4th from the bottom. So Clemson, there was 3 teams that would have been theoretically easier to play. You look at Clemson's roster; they are not the same roster. It is not the Clemson that in week 2 we mercied. Like, this is a completely different team, and we knew that. But there was a couple other teams that we looked at. I highly considered Michigan. We played them week 1. Kade knew. I actually messaged Kade and said, "Hey, I just want you to know, if you fall to number 3, like, there's a real chance that we were going to take them." We've kind of been on a revenge tour this season, with all of our losses for last season, and so we want a chance to revenge each and every team that beat us last year. And so Texas and the Aggies were both on our list. Logan messaged me and said, "Hey, we want the chance to play y'all again if we get in." And knowing how much they've changed, I didn't feel like it was a give me game. I didn't feel like it was the easy way out. I felt like, okay, they want the spotlight. We want to show what we can do. Everyone's seen what Clemson's been able to do the last several weeks. So that's why we chose them. But no, they definitely were not first on our list going into it.
Well, then who was first on your list? I'm going to ask you that. Because from an outsider's view, Clemson would be the obvious choice, at least for me.
So I would. It comes across. It really comes across in the wrong way. But I mean, the Aggies, the Spartans, and the Longhorns were 3 teams that were high on the list. The Spartans and the Aggies were.
I get the Spartans because of our inconsistencies, and I understand. Actually, I think I understand the Aggies too because of their 1-4 start.
He wanted us for the revenge from the playoffs last year. He told me that.
And I was like, it's no disrespect if we pick you. It's not that we think.
Y'all were the last team to beat us. We want to get it back. Okay.
Yeah. So Auburn was a team that we looked at. Like, hey, we know we just beat them big, but we know that that's not the Auburn team that's gonna show up round 1, whoever they played. We know that,
okay.
and we felt it could be a mission statement. But we just, we looked at what matched up against us. We saw all the level of talent in the league, and no matter what, it's going to be a brutal path to a championship for whoever makes it. And so we just went with who we thought matched up week 1.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and especially personal vendetta. If I was in your position, I absolutely would choose a team that said, "Hey, let's play." I just from the outset, and this isn't disrespecting Clemson, but obviously they've changed a lot. We'll see, because the other part of this, and I kind of want to give a shout out to Ohio State, who is now the number 15 seed. They were the number 2 seed, and they
number
lost.
12 seed. Right,
they're 15.
Oklahoma. Sorry.
I was like, I'm reading this. Like, am I blind? I mean, I might be blind.
Ohio State actually was a team that we had about a 30-minute discussion Friday afternoon about picking. So
Ohio State, I mean, again, right? The most inconsistent team in this league is Michigan State. Ohio State's a very good team. We kind of rolled them, but I think Ohio State might be the most dangerous pick here. I think in the draft. USC played them once already. Ohio State's familiar, and we stemmed against that team, and they're a very, very good team. So that's my pick. What do you guys think? Most likely upset in round 1 from a pick team. So you can't choose Colorado. You can't choose Auburn.
I don't think you're going to like my pick.
You've already said it. UNC. I already know what your pick is.
I believe North Carolina gets round 1 against. Or I think they have the best chance to get a first round upset among many teams. I think all 9 through 16 could win, but I think North Carolina has
9 through 16 winning.
I'm shocked the one that I have no one said yet.
What, Texas?
Miami.
I mean, is that really?
Yeah, Miami might be favored.
I
in
mean,
that game.
Technically.
Yeah, I believe Miami is definitely going to be the favorite, and that's no disrespect to Florida.
Well, Florida's at home, so it might be a pick 'em. But yeah, no, yes, you're right, Kade, but also Miami, it's like a 7-10 game. That's a little different than if Ohio State
I mean, okay, well then,
the second pick. No, that's a valid pick. I'm just like, that's
Okay,
why
well
you
then
said it.
if it's not Miami, then it's Oklahoma, just because I
That
know
would be a
how
fun pick.
hard I know. Like I love Tank, I love Grin, and honestly, I would rather play Florida State in the second round than Oklahoma because Oklahoma kicked our teeth in earlier this year. I know how tough it is to plan against LSA and that offense, and maybe it was just a bad game plan by us, but that is a tough team to stop.
Ironically, again, Mr. Inconsistent here with the quarterback. 1 week they're great, 1 week they're horrible. Another team that we rolled for no reason. Like I going in that game, that was not the game I thought we would have that performance with. That was hilarious. And Oklahoma clearly took a few lessons from that because here they are. But yeah, I can see that one too. That's a good pick. So
I don't know. Do you want a game plan against a roster or an AD? What's harder?
80.
I,
I mean, that's the answer.
I would rather game plan against a roster and have better control compared to Tom, the Hall of Fame. That
Yeah,
you don't know what
it's a pick
Tom
your
could bring
poison though.
Yeah, exactly. Tom could bring so much to it that, and no disrespect to DT, but I don't want to play Tom.
I'd argue that our bottom half of the bracket is the toughest of the four.
I would agree with that. I think
Just
also by design that's how it works in a 16-team playoff system, right? Is the number 4 seed has the toughest quadrant.
yeah.
I think that's by design too, because you guys are the number 1 seed, but of your group, but it's the lowest number 1, so you have by design the toughest.
Yeah. So we get the lowest number 1, the highest number 2.
Right, and the what is it? The lowest number 3, but highest number 4 as well.
Yeah.
So it's the same, yeah. So one more thing about these playoffs. I know we've talked a lot about them. So Alabama, USC, Virginia Tech, or excuse me, yeah, these are and A&M are the 4 division winners. Your 7, let me find it. He pinned it somewhere. I got to pull it up. Here it is. So the 7 teams that were voted in, right, or voted upon: Clemson, LSU, Michigan, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee. Oklahoma gets in, no surprise. Michigan gets in. I don't think it was a huge surprise, obviously, because they're 4-4. North Carolina gets in. I know there were some people talking, and actually, I heard some people talking about maybe they get in, maybe they don't, just because of their end of the season, what happened. But they get in. It's not a huge surprise, and we get Clemson in instead of LSU, or Oregon or Tennessee. So I guess the question, and this might have already been answered on the broadcast. I know you were on it, where LSU, Oregon, and Tennessee are left out. And you wanted LSU in, or
I absolutely thought LSU over North Carolina, and I love Gunn and I love North Carolina. When you only win 1 conference game and you lose 4 of your last 5 games, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And the Aggies are a prime example of that. You know, losing 4 games is okay if they're at the beginning of the season and you get hot towards the playoffs. When you lose 4 of your last 5 games, again, only 1 conference win. Their best win was Week 1 against Texas. We all know about Week 1. We know Week 1, the term that we use a lot is a crapshoot, because there's so many variables of unknown in game planning. So I honestly felt that LSU had a couple wins. I believe they had 2 wins against their counterparts on the ballot, and so. I really felt LSU over North Carolina.
So let me actually stop you on that. So they were 1-5 against their counterparts on the ballot. But so I guess I want to ask, what differentiates the 1-4 end of the season for North Carolina compared to the 2-5 end of the season for LSU?
LSU knocking off Oklahoma, and
is that
Oklahoma
it for you?
Was
Oklahoma?
looking. I mean that game was Oklahoma had their shot at the conference title still. And I don't feel like they escaped Oklahoma with the win. I felt like they controlled that game. I felt like they did a really good job from start to finish. And I think they showed that they could play some really competitive football. And I did play them this year. I saw how well they played. I saw how hard they are to game plan against. And they got better through the season. But that big win to get them to the 3-win mark, which, is kind of the minimum threshold in CFSL for a playoff spot, to me, that was just more well-deserved than 1-4 in the last 5 games.
I think something that hurt them as well is I think the loss to Clemson really hurt North Carolina. I think that might have decided it because of the head-to-head, and obviously Clemson comes in as the 16 seed. The other part of it as well is, they lose by 2 to Virginia Tech in rivalry week, but they lose, Florida State's a very good team, but you lose by, I think it was 20. What was the other one? Miami also, you get pretty well beat. I think it was the margin of defeat because North Carolina week 4, right, or week 5, they're 3-1 or 4-1, excuse me. They have the best point differential in the CFSL, better than your Alabama. I think that's really, and Kade, I guess you can add your thoughts here. Maybe what made the difference was that loss to Clemson. At least that sticks out to me.
For North Carolina?
Yeah, for North Carolina.
I mean, I voted for North Carolina simply because at one point in the season they were the number 1 team and they still had 4 wins. But if anybody was going to get left out, I thought it should have been North Carolina. And you look at and you talk about who you're going to put in over UNC. It was going to be LSU. I mean, you look at their games. It's a 5-point loss to Colorado, who's the second place team in the Big 12. That could have gone either way. And then it's a 2-point loss to Texas. Either one of those games could have just flipped the script for LSU. And at this point in the season, they're sitting 5-3. You look at North Carolina's losses, and like you said, they weren't touchdown losses. They weren't field goal losses. It was North Carolina's getting run out of the stadium over here.
With the exception of Virginia Tech, yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of, it's a 20-point loss to Florida State. It's a 17-point loss to Miami. Okay, and I mean those are two of the best teams in the league, and when you play the best, you should show up a little bit. And then you Clemson, who barely gets in, you lose by 3. So, I
think that did it, because obviously they're in, but LSU, by the way, beat Clemson too.
And
yeah,
that was a very close game.
It was a 4-point game, but in that same breath, it's week 1. And you talk about North Carolina's dominant win over Texas, which, by the way, they've dominated Texas 2 seasons in a row in week 1. I mean,
I see why you want to bring that up.
Well, I throw that in there because Ryan knows he's almost penciled in for a week 1 L every season, and then he's going to end 5-3 or 6-2.
Week 1 and week 7 are almost guaranteed losses for him.
Oh man. Well, we play him week 8. Well, I mean, it's just one of those things that, it's an out-of-conference win. Obviously, it's a big resume build. It's a great way to start your season. But, it's week 1. You haven't simmed against this person yet this season. You don't know if your numbers are going to show up in the game. You're basically guessing on what you think they're going to run. You're playing the AD more than you're playing the stats and the results. And if you're someone like David Ware, who's been around for a while, that may help you. But if you're someone like me, who's only been in this spot for 3 seasons, I'm shooting blind. And for LSU and Clemson, I mean, it's a great win for LSU in week 1, but it has to have that asterisk next to it as a week 1 win.
I don't know. I think it should be counted. I think your performance in week 1 is just as valuable in week 8. Obviously, it might be more telling for a voter how you're doing in week 8 versus week 1, but I'm a big proponent of valuing it evenly. But
I mean, it's all about progress, though. I mean, you got
that's true too.
How does your team adjust, develop through the season, handle the wins, handle the losses? I mean, you can screw up and not handle wins well enough, and that can hurt you worse than not handling the losses and adjusting. In my opinion, you get too content winning sometimes. You quit running sims, and but I think LSU's whole entire body of work was much better, and I would have loved to seen Oregon in. I'll be honest, I thought Oregon was another team. I don't know if I could have put them in over North Carolina, but if I had to pick another team other than LSU over North Carolina, Oregon would have been the team I thought of.
Well, yeah, Oregon, I think what held them back was their 3 wins were over West Virginia, who was 1-7, over Tennessee, who was a fellow voting team. That's probably their best win of the season, and then over Michigan, or not Michigan State, excuse me, Penn State, who went 0-8. I think if they, for example, they had a close loss to Ohio State, if they changed that, they had a somewhat competitive game with, it was Notre Dame, yeah. I think losing to Notre Dame is what put them in the coffin.
Oregon's 5 losses, not a single one of them was a single point loss, a single score. It was It's 12 against Notre Dame. It's 25 against Michigan. It's 12 against Michigan State. It's 11 against Ohio State, and it's 41 against USC. And again, it's no disrespect to Oregon and what Trips has going on up there, but quality losses are a thing. And when you lose 3 games by a combined 7 points versus you lose one game by 12, another game by 11, another game by 14, that makes a difference.
Well, I would say I think the loss to Notre Dame, I think, sank them.
Yeah.
That is Notre
Yeah.
Dame's only win of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate Oregon for that. That knocked me out of Survivor.
I think it knocked me either that one. There was another game week 3 I might have chosen.
I talked to Tiny
no,
after our
Tennessee.
game.
Yeah.
I talked to Tiny after our game against Texas, and he said that there were 8 people that were in Week 8 Survivor.
That's pretty good,
that-
though. That's when I ran it. That's about what you should be at, is less than 10 people.
I think there were about 30 or 35 of us last season.
Yeah,
This is
I mean, the game should be designed to have less than 10 winners. People seem to be pretty good at it now, but
I think this is the first season in the last 5 that I haven't been to week 8 still.
oh, I've never gotten past week 4. It's funny because I didn't invent the game, but I ran it for a while and kind of made it popular. I don't want to brag too much, but I ran that game for like 3 or 4 seasons and I never got past week 4. Like I was so bad at that game, despite the fact that I helped design it. Like
I've done it for 3 seasons. My first time doing it, I lost in week 1. It was so heartbreaking.
oh, I chose Michigan State in week 1, buddy. So fuck you. That was like a few seasons ago. I don't choose Michigan State or like my team anymore in that game for that reason.
I think when I made it to week 8 last year, I chose us against Clemson, and that was I think probably our second most convincing win that year over the playoff victory over Alabama.
One other quick stat I'd like to throw out there, Cole, revisiting the LSU North Carolina. LSU had a 531 strength of schedule. Their opponent's winning record was 531 compared to only 453 for North Carolina. So while the Tar Heels had one more win, LSU played a much harder. Had teams that won more. So just a fun little tidbit.
I think part of it is UNC in non-conference played what was supposed to be a tough Penn State team that ended up going 0-8 versus LSU, who played an Alabama team that wasn't supposed to be. I mean, you guys were supposed to be good, but not 8-0 good. I think preseason predictions.
That's every season what we're supposed to do.
No,
I don't like going 8-0. I'm just going to be honest with you. The pressure of going 8-0 is unreal.
If you lose to Clemson, you're coming back on my show. We're not going to hear the end of it, by the way.
I mean, David, I'll tell you that is the only reason I didn't pick y'all to win it is because 8-0 teams just don't win the championship.
I mean, it's
Unless you're
true.
Notre Dame.
I mean, yeah, it's. I think Oklahoma State was it Oklahoma State or Kentucky? We've talked about this on this show before, Cole.
Yeah, Oklahoma State and Kentucky, I think, have both either done it or gotten close to doing it.
I know
Notre
Oklahoma
Dame's the
State
classic
did it,
exam.
and
I
Notre
thought the
Dame
last
did
one to do it was Notre Dame.
Oklahoma State went,
But did they go undefeated and win it in the same
Yes.
season?
Yes.
I think they did, yeah. I think that was the national championship.
It's very
I called,
rare
too.
that it happens.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I
Notre
think
Dame did
that
it.
was during a whole different era of football. I mean, it's. I'm not
Okay,
gonna say it's
so-
impossible, but my God, we got a lot of work to put in.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
season 15.
Before we move on to our predictions as well, and I'll let you guys keep looking at that, I do want to make a quick pit stop. One other piece of news around the CFSL, the AD applications are out. Now, granted, I've talked about this on this show before. I used to run, the selection for it. We didn't get any questions on it specifically, so I'm not going to get too deep into that selection process. That's a story for maybe later in the playoffs when they select a guy. But what I'm thinking here, you guys each can pick, 1 or 2 guys who you think might be, I don't know who is leaving the AD spot, the AD room. I don't know if that's going to affect it, but I know we talked earlier in the show about a few names. Do you guys want any names to throw out there? Where I'll let you go.
I'll let David go first. I gotta blow my nose.
I mean, I think there's a couple guys out there that I think that are capable of being ADs if the situation opens up. And again, we don't know what we're looking at for how many ADs we're going to need. But I think one of the big names for me would be Norman Bates. So, I think he's done his due justice. You look at what Michigan has consistently done. They're winning, I think, 63% of their games over the course of Aaron Ike's career, and Martell's been right there with him. So I think Martell definitely is someone that would have the experience in game planning, in recruiting, visibility to have the potential to be an AD.
Right as Johnny tries to firebomb our chat in there. But yeah, no, I mean, we played him obviously earlier this season, and Michigan beat us, like, to their credit. Very good staff they have over there. We've had Aaron Ike on the show. I've tried to get Norman on the show. Let me just see the last time I texted him, because I'm pretty sure he's tried to get on this show like 3 times. And I did an article on him earlier. I did like the rising coaches in the CFSL. So definitely a good choice. Where Kate, I know you have a choice you want to talk about.
I was just going to ask you, are we going to do a live Cole Mantell show at Hangout in the summer?
Oh no.
I feel like we should. Okay, because
1,000% disaster.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You could get an entire Cole Mantell show with just the people that are going to be staying with us.
Here's the thing. If we do that, because I know Adam and Travis did that a few years ago. I like the way that they recorded it on their phone.
Yeah.
I have to figure out how to get this Squadcast stuff onto my phone. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm sure people are going to want me to do it when we get there. So I'm not going to say no.
I'm just saying, I feel like as like a special hangout Cole Mantell show, I feel like that would be super cool.
You want an excuse to get drunk on my show. You could just say it.
I'm going to do that anyway at Hangout, so whether it's on your show or not, I'm a fun time when I get liquid courage, okay?
Oh, gosh.
Cole, have you ever been intoxicated at Hangout?
I have coworkers that watch the show. I'm not going to answer that question yes or no.
For my
go to Hangout to find out.
Yeah, you got to be at Hangout to find out.
That was one of those rhetorical questions I knew the answer to.
The guy that I think would make a great AD, and we talked about it before the chat, and he's been on the show before, is Tank.
Yep, that's going to be my answer.
And I want to talk about Martell for a sec. He and I were on the staff together at Michigan. We spent a lot of time talking last offseason when Michigan went 1-7, and he was about ready to pull the trigger then. But he felt like he had some unfinished business at Michigan, and he wanted to get them back to where they have been prior to that 1-7 season. And credit where credit's due, they're back in the playoffs. But for Tank, man, I know he's going to be a good AD when he gets into that AD boardroom. Whether it's this coming season, whether it's in two seasons, 3 seasons, we know that as the AD boardroom goes, people step down for various reasons, or we're going to expand, or we're going to do something else, or whatever the case is. So there's always change in the boardroom. But I feel like Tank, with his learning experience under Tom, and I mean, you couldn't ask for a better guy to learn under. That's the one guy I wish I could have learned under before I became an AD. I feel like he's going to be really good.
He has talked about it on this show too. I think he is aiming to do that. I don't know if he gets it this season or next season, but I would be shocked in the next 2 seasons if he's not at least given a serious look. And then so for me, I kind of want to talk about SS Keller just because Ware, you talked about him before the show, but I'll let you. I think he said he's not 100% going to apply this season. For me, if I had to choose one, because you just stole mine, Cade, congratulations.
I apologize. Well, those were the 2 I talked about before the season, before we even got on.
You're not sorry. I'll put my name and say Venom. Venom has talked publicly about coming back. I know he's kind of like me, where he's got stuff going on outside the league, and he may not have the time for it. But if he puts his name back in the ring and he seriously, does it, he's the the offensive coordinator. I have the list open here just to make sure. The offensive coordinator for, a 2-time national champion team. He's been around this league. He's one of the best air raid ADs ever, period. Full stop. Like, I think he would be great if he came back. And I think he would recruit really, really well. Like, I think no matter what school you put Venom at, he's proven he can recruit. So that's my pick. And I think that's it for that segment. So now the question becomes, we have one thing left to do. So there's a few ways we can do this for the picks because there's 3 of us today, and I like this. I like it. We should do this 3-person stuff more often instead of 4 because it's more chance to ramble.
We know David likes to talk.
We're gonna go down the list of the bracket that Johnny provided.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of a joke. You go until you beat it dead.
I see, like Auburn.
Never mind.
Look, Beard had the opportunity to jump on this show.
There. No, I felt like Cole was there last week
What do you mean?
at Auburn.
Ooh.
Right, so now you actually now we choose Clemson, you fucker.
Sorry.
So we're gonna go down the list the way that Johnny put it. So the first game we'll go through is Auburn, Colorado. I have a feeling I know who you guys are gonna pick, but we'll do it. Colorado or Auburn? Who you taking? Where?
I think it's going to be closer than we expect. I think Auburn pulls it out, though.
You want that rematch?
I mean, no. I'll be honest, I don't. I mean, but if I'm going to get my 100th win, I mean, no better person to get it than against Beard and Auburn. So if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
All right, Kade, who you taking?
This is gonna hurt me. I'm gonna take Auburn just because I know Beard and I know what that team is, and it's again I love Skylar and it's no disrespect to Skylar. I just think that as the 8 seed, you got whoever was left in the pick'em, and you got Auburn because nobody else wanted them.
I should pick Colorado here just to be fun. I'm going to take Auburn just because Ware pissed me off. That's my only reason. No other reason, possibly. All right.
That's what I do.
All right. Clemson, Alabama. Where I think we already know who you're taking. Clemson's a big childhood team of yours, obviously, right?
Yeah. David's taking Clemson. He already told us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause
So-
this looks like a Clemson hat and Clemson jerseys. And,
He's a secret Dabo Sweeney disciple,
I mean,
you know.
Sweeney did come from where? Alabama.
Jesus Christ, I don't know.
Alabama alumni, thank you.
Yeah, and then you wanted him so bad that you kicked him to the curb the second that Saban retired and grabbed some guy from Washington instead.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't say I want him to coach Alabama. I'm just saying he came from Alabama. I never said I want him as a coach.
So one pick for Bama there. Cade, who you got?
I feel like it's going to be closer than 65-9, but I still think Alabama's going to win.
Yeah, I love you, Logan, and you're welcome on this show every time. I'm going to pray for you. I don't think it's a mercy, but yeah, I mean, at least from the outside of you, Ware can talk all he wants about his models and stuff, but like, it felt like the obvious choice. Clemson just was not put in a good spot here as the number 16 speed. But I think if they do beat Alabama, they have a pretty good damn road to the championship. I think if they can beat Alabama, they can beat anybody. So good luck, guys. Then we'll move down the bracket here. Oklahoma, Florida State. Kate, I'll let you start first. This is your side of the bracket.
You know, I think Tom and Florida State pulled out. I think if anybody could stop DT Hall and Del Este, it's Tom. So I'm going to take Florida State.
Alrighty. And then what about you, Dave?
I concur. I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game. But I think Florida State, they have a flair for dramatics this season.
See, we're choosing all the favorites right now, and if last season showed us anything, that's not how it's going to end. Well, I guess Auburn's technically
I'm going off
behind,
AD. I'm not going off. Like that's my biggest thing. I'm going off athletic director experience.
I'm going to take Oklahoma here just because I played them, and I love Tom, but I think that quarterback might be the difference. So we need to have some upset picks here because I think we're maybe going too far on the top seeds here. But you never know. And I mean, Florida State still wins 2-1 in this vote, so it doesn't make a huge difference. Next up, Michigan A&M. So I said it to Ware. Cade, you're taking Michigan, right?
Go Wolverines.
I am go big blue in every game when they don't play us. So obviously I'm going us, but I love Michigan, I love Ike, and I love the guys that are there. But A&M.
Jim Harbaugh would be very disappointed in you. David, Who you taking?
I think Aggie squeak one out, and I'm talking about squeak it out.
Look, I know Ware is already going to choose against my team when we get to them. I'm tempted to choose against Cade's team for fun, but I'll take A&M. I'll
It's
join
like,
Cody.
but you may choose against, but are you going to take Michigan though as a Spartan, or would you
Yeah,
really take Michigan?
No, I wouldn't. No, unless you're like, love you, buddy. I'm not taking you. No, sorry. Then we got so we go to the other side of the bracket here. We got Miami versus Florida. Again, like I think they played last year, or was it it was Miami, Florida last year, right? In the first round.
Florida State picked Florida last year,
Yeah.
Oh, right, and then Miami was the
and
other
then
side.
Miami played Florida in the second round.
Yeah, this should be like you said, maybe a sneaky pick for game of the first round. Cade, who you got?
Like I picked technically in terms of upset, you picked the lower seeds, and I had two upsets in my bracket on the little draft champion thing, whatever that they posted in League today. But you know what? Screw it. Those Ducky Flash wide receivers for Florida are sometimes too much to stop. Give me the Gators.
Oh boy. All right, well you can choose a fellow SEC team, or I think wasn't Kane A50 Kane? Wasn't he one of your former coaches, David?
Yes, and that Miami team 6-2. They did lose to USC. Week 8 really did not. Week 8 was a tough battle against Florida State. I don't know that there's many teams that can beat Miami, quite honestly, at least convincingly. So I'm going to say Miami wins this one.
Which leaves me as the tiebreaker. Yeah, I don't know.
Young man.
So I could either choose a team that I've played for, or a team that my most famous play as a player. Maybe the only time I've had a good play as a player. I got on the CFSL intro playing for Miami. I guess I'll go with them.
I did not remember you being on Miami.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Miami,
What
Florida,
season?
5 overtime.
Was it the call that Mike says touchdown Hurricanes?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, Zeus Thomas, All-American returner. That's the only time I've ever been nominated for All-American, as well. Yeah. Yeah. So Ohio State, USC is the other side. Kate, I'll let you choose that again.
I think USC wins this one, but I don't think USC three-peats. I'll take USC here.
Alrighty. Who you got where?
So I want to play, like I would love a perfect world where Alabama, USC in the championship, Alabama wins, defeats the back-to-back champions for the title. And I did put USC in my bracket for the league. But you know what? I'm not afraid of chaos. I'm not afraid to be different.
Yes.
I'm going to say Ohio State pulls off a last-second win like they did against Florida State with 3 seconds left. And Boone Hyatt had the touchdown to win the game. Don't give me Ohio State.
15-2. Ohio State loses in that upset last season. For the record, I'm going to choose Ohio State because I think it would be really funny if they then won the next year. That's the only reason I'm choosing them. I don't really like them that much, but I think it would be really funny if Ohio State won as the 15 seed a year after losing as the 15 seed or 2 seed. So that's fun. Where I think you've already kind of said it, but we'll go back to you here. UNC, Michigan State. You have UNC, I assume?
I do. I do think North Carolina gets this win. I don't expect it to be a dominant win. I expect it to depend on how many turnovers. But a turnover will be the deciding factor. Maybe an interception.
Yeah, I agree on that point. Cole Mantell's just got to be better. He can't throw all those interceptions. Kate, who you got?
I think Cole Mantell plays a perfect game and Michigan State dominates.
You're just trying to get an invite to another show.
And he's correct. He is good.
I think I've been on the show more than most in like this season.
You and Ware are probably, in terms of all-time appearances, you, Ware, and Tank, and maybe I think you three probably for now, yeah. Our top three. UNC, Michigan State. I'm taking my boys, but Michigan State will have a tough matchup here. We didn't have a lot of great choices in the draft at the end there. I think it will be tough. I think really our first 2 games are going to be really deciding. I think if we can get past UNC, if we can get past VT or Texas, we'll know a lot more about this team. And we haven't won a playoff game yet. We lost last year to Kentucky, so now we'll see what we can do against a team that has yet to win a playoff game, 0-5 in the playoffs, including a loss to my one-win Auburn team. So I'll shout that out before we move on.
I got a feeling like there's going to be a clip of that play
On this broadcast.
I've put it on the podcast before. It depends. We'll see if I remember to put it in here before I go to bed tonight. VT Texas. All right. Where I'll let you finish this off here. Who you got?
Oh, goodness. Both ADs a little bit younger.
Call Ryan Young.
I'm talking about as far as experience.
Mucci kind of looks like a 12-year-old.
This is a hard one. I think this is, I know the seeds say 14-3. I feel this is a coin toss. I'll give it to, God bless, overtime win for Texas.
All righty. Kate, you going to choose your rivals too?
Absolutely not. And it's, look, I love Ryan and I love a lot of the guys on that team, but I will never root for Texas unless it benefits us. And in my bracket, I have A&M beating Virginia Tech in the championship. So Virginia Tech.
All righty. Oh boy. So who do I want to play? Who do I want to play less? Probably VT. That traumatized me. But it would be nice to get some revenge. So I'll choose VT just because I think it should be a fun game either way. Here's the thing. I think VT might have made an error here just because I don't know if I would have taken Texas as the third pick of the draft.
That's a very gutsy pick.
Here's the thing. If they win, I think either UNC or Michigan State will not be as tough a test as Texas will be for them. And I'm perfectly fine with saying that. I think we win if we play VT again, but I don't think I would have taken Texas there. We'll see, because I think that one is maybe the most dangerous pick of anyone in the draft. He had more than enough choices. Later in the draft, Michigan State, we didn't have a lot of choices. VT could have taken all but two of the teams. They could have taken Michigan. They could have taken Oklahoma. They could have taken Auburn. I don't know if I would have taken Auburn.
Are any of those teams that you want to play, though?
I think I'd rather play
deal
Michigan.
with this draft.
And I say that
in the
past,
past, you've had 3 or 4 teams that are like, okay, you don't want to play them, and the rest are like, give me the cupcakes. Like, what team do you really? There are no cupcakes.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot tougher this year. So I have, and we'll recap this: Auburn and Alabama, all 3 of us took. Florida State 2-1, A&M all 3, Miami and Ohio State 2-1, and then Michigan State VT 2-1. We have time. We can just go down the list if we want. There's only 7 more games to pick. Just going off this, Auburn and Alabama is second round. Where I think you're taking your team.
I am. I will, with pride, say Roll Tide.
All right. Cade, who you got?
I got Auburn in a rematch.
Ooh.
And again, it's no disrespect to David or the Crimson Tide. It's just I know Beard is going to be out for blood, and it's hard to beat the same team twice. And just that perfect season is so elusive. It just doesn't happen very often.
History doesn't lie.
Oh my God! I have the chance to do the funniest thing and break this tie. Cade, you are so invited on my show whenever you want. This is hilarious. Ware, give me a reason why I should not choose Auburn just for fun.
I think if you look at point differential this year, Auburn has had a lot closer games, which they say that's battle tested and better for the playoffs. But point differential, I think, speaks a lot. Common opponents, if we would have been in a 3-way tiebreaker, we did have them, and then you add our game to it. Just overall, we had the most points scored and the second least points given up. So I think another matchup is much closer, but I think at the end of the day, I think our defense is able to hold Auburn to less than what we're able to produce.
Those are all very good points. But you did choose
You're
against
still
Michigan
gonna
State.
pick Auburn.
I'm going to choose Auburn because you picked against my spread. I would have considered it if you didn't choose against me round one,
I mean,
fucker.
that's fine. That's fine.
I take
mean, I'm
Auburn.
the only one here that's shown that they can be unbiased and picked a rival.
This ain't
for
a broadcast,
win.
buddy.
So in week one, for round one, I picked Auburn to win. So I showed my ability to be unbiased. So
I don't give a
I mean,
shit.
the
You
weight
picked
and
against my
value
team
of your
round one.
opinion.
I don't give a shit. Fuck off. All right. So that leaves, by the way, if we're gonna have some more fun here, A&M and Florida State in round two. Kade, I think you're taking Florida State, right? Is that the idea here?
No. We played Florida State my first season, and I felt so confident. We had just come off of a win against Michigan State. We drove down on Florida State and scored boom like that. I was like, let's go. Proceeded to not score again the rest of the game. It was fantastic.
I've had a game like that. I remember a game like that last season in the playoffs.
Yeah, it wasn't fun for you, was it?
No, it was not.
It wasn't fun for me either, but I like our roster better than Florida State, so I'm going to give us A&M.
All right, Dave, who you got?
I've talked to Tom a bunch this season. I've talked to Kate a bunch this season. Tom has something special brewing. It just feels Florida State season.
There's a part
Sorry,
of me.
Cade. Nothing personal.
I know. I mean, I know.
Do I continue to be the biased asshole that Ware thinks I am? Well, if I am going to do that, I played for Grin and I didn't play for Cade, and he beat my ass and won't shut up about it, so I'm taking Florida State.
He tells me I'm welcome back on the show, but he knows I'm 2-0 against his ass.
This is why you're welcome on my show, because I can make fun of you all I want.
It's okay.
Even if I suck. Even my quarterback sucks.
Hey, if you had told us at week 3 that we would, or week 4 that we, after we were 0-3, that we would be the 4 seed in the playoffs, I'll take it every day.
All right, so the next one we're going to choose then, per our esteemed group, Miami and Ohio State would play each other. The 10 and the 15 seed. That'd be a hell of a fun game. What do you guys got?
I'll go Miami.
You guys both immediately go Miami. Wow.
I mean, yeah, I think Miami can handle them.
You talk about you think Florida State's got something brewing. Like Lisa Pink is the last elite in the league right now at quarterback, and Bo Yost at running back. I feel like Miami has the perfect storm right now to really put it together with a very senior heavy team.
But you picked Florida to win the first game.
I did.
I mean, wow.
I did because I like to watch chaos, and that those ducky flash wide receivers that the Gators got, it's tough to plan against. But if we're only picking Miami, Ohio State, we're going to go with Miami.
I'll take Miami too. I honestly, if I'm going to be the serious guy here for a second, really well put together team, one of the more balanced teams in this league. And every year there's always like a 7 or a 10 seed that makes it. Obviously USC was that team last year. I think the last 2 years really. So I'll take Miami as well. That leaves one more second round game for us to have some fun with. Michigan State and Virginia Tech. Kate, who you got?
Give me the Gobblers and Virginia Tech, baby. I think the Hokies are a very good young team under Mucci, and I love the way they play.
You know who I'm going to choose. So where it's up to you to tie the do a
I know
tiebreaker
Michigan
here.
State wants to say that it's Thanksgiving time and it's time to stuff the turkeys and cook them and be done with it. But the turkey still has time to dance on the sideline, and they're going to dance round
turkey.
2.
Right.
They're going to dance in round 2 as the game ends, as their team has the most points.
I will say this: they would have a home game in this scenario, and we've already played them once. We've shown where it is. I think it really Michigan State. We've talked about this on the show. It goes down to what I can do as a quarterback, and I like to make fun of him in chat, but I think that's what it's going to be coming down to in this kind of game. I'll take Michigan State, but yeah, all right. VT and Miami in one semifinal. Auburn and Florida State would be in our picks here, the other side. So 5-9 against each other, 10-3. I guess we'll do it one more time or 2 more times here. I guess we'll do a national championship pick at this point. All right. Auburn, Florida State. Who you got, Dave?
Florida State. I'm gonna ride that magic wave.
Very good team. Cade, who you got?
Give me the war chant and the Seminoles, man. And it's just, I've honestly, like I said, I think our bottom quadrant is the toughest quadrant. I think whoever comes out of that one is going to win the title.
Yeah, I could choose Auburn here too, by the way, and just for fun, even though Florida State, you just put them in the championship. I think Tom has got a lot of experience in this league. I think if they get past Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma might be their toughest test in this playoffs. Sorry, Cade. But
I mean, I disagree, but that's okay.
in the quadrant, I don't know.
Feels like
A&M's gonna be a
that
tough
crimson
test.
team. Feels like that crimson team in the top left will be Florida State's tough. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, he has to get there first.
David, it sounded like you missed the trash can.
No, I made it.
Hey, is that a
Didn't
Cole
sound
Mantell throw? Is
like-
that a Cole Mantell throw there?
Nah, if it was a Mantell throw, it would have been intercepted, not just
I know,
missing.
right? I thought the trash can was a cornerback, so I was like, oh, I can't throw it in there. Gotta make sure not to throw it to the defender. I mean,
boy.
Cole, you have the highest completion ratio when it comes to throwing to the defenders.
Hey, I have what? I
Sorry,
gave
Cole.
Virginia
I'm
Tech
sorry.
like
I'm
half
trying-
or
I'm
more
trying
of
to
their
be
points.
better.
No, you're not. Don't lie to yourself. Let's see here. All right. Before we go completely off the rails here, Miami, Virginia Tech. Who you guys got?
Miami.
Oh, we're just going for a rematch of Week 8 in the championship. Is that what you guys want to do?
And I think Miami wins this one.
I will say,
What is that? It's been since season 8, but
I will say this, Cole. Of the playoff quarterbacks, you only have the third most interceptions.
16 teams.
Thanks. That really makes
Yeah,
me feel
so-
so much better.
So Spunky, Tolbert, and St. Major have more interceptions than you.
Oh, great.
So
I'd play either of them round 2 if I won.
It could be a battle of the interceptions with Texas and VT.
Oh my god.
Give
Miami,
me the
VT,
give me the Hokies,
God.
baby.
All right, so we got to tie. So I got to decide this.
You got to break the tiebreaker here. Is it the Hurricane or the dancing turkey in the championship game?
I tell you what, the sole fact that turkeys can't fly means they're going to survive the storm and they're going to walk their way into the title game.
Yeah, you've never been in South Florida during hurricane season, if you believe that. I don't. Oh my god. See, there's very fun possibilities here. Either I can choose the team I played for and dunk on a VT team that has been doing nothing but making fun of me all season, or I could choose VT and try to make amends. But I am a
Wait.
horrible person. I will not do that. I'm going to take Miami.
Look at the roster. Don't-
Wait, so are we
First of all-
really going to have 3 ACC teams in the Final Four?
We've had 3
Yeah,
Big
oh,
Ten
yeah.
teams.
Yeah,
the
last
Final
year we
Four
did.
before.
I'm not surprised at that at all.
Well,
And
no,
then
last year we had one from every conference.
Not
Year
in the Final
before, it
Four.
was 3 Big Ten teams.
Yeah, year before it was 3. No, it was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 Big Ten teams.
Yeah, it was what USC, Michigan was the other one. It was
USC, Michigan, Auburn, and
Oregon, I think.
in the final, in the
Final
the Final
Four. I
Four.
think. I might be misremembering that. All right. Well, Florida State, Miami national championship rematch of Week 8. Who do you guys have? And I'll let you say if you have a different choice of who you think's going to win the national championship besides your own team. Feel free to say it too. But Florida State, Miami, who do you guys got?
Oh man, I don't have a coin to flip. I mean, that's 2 big waves of momentum just clashing at each other. Kate, I'll let you go first.
Oh man, I want to say experience more than anything, but I'm not talking about the ADs. I'm talking about the players. I mean, it's just when you look at a backfield of Lisa Pink and Bo Yost, and then you look at a backfield of D Money and Bear Michaels. It's senior versus freshman, and I feel like the experience of Lisa Pink and Bo Yost would prevail in that matchup. Again, and give me the Hurricanes.
All righty. Where are you just going to take Florida State now, or what do you got? Are you flipping a coin?
I feel like I need to take the 5th Amendment. I don't know. I mean, 3 overtimes. Mike gets tired. The computer crashes. We have an undecided national championship, and they split it.
Co-champions, like we have co-broadcaster of the year award.
So that's
Hi.
going to be my
That's
that's going to be my synopsis.
You gotta choose.
there.
You gotta choose one. No, you're on the show. I'm making you choose one. You gotta flip a coin. You gotta flip a coin.
Miami.
All right. And here's the thing. I was gonna choose this whatever you chose. I wasn't just gonna break a tie for fun. If this is the national championship, you got Florida State, who I feel like last season or the season before I've talked about as a national champion contender. It's Tom. You know what he brings. I think Miami here. I'm gonna choose them just because we always choose Tom, and he's won in season 14. He's yet to get back up there. I know this would be a crushing way to end his season, but if we're all going to go Miami, I'll take him as well. Do you guys have? I know on the bracket I put Michigan State just because I do believe in this team. But what do you guys have? You put VT, right, Kade?
Yeah, so I had A&M and VT in the championship, and A&M beating VT. So obviously, I think we're going to win. But if it's not going to be us, I think the Hokies have a really good chance. I feel like their side of the bracket, they can come out of not relatively easily, but I feel like they can come out of it a lot easier than the other brackets. And I like what Moochie's building. I like what VT's got, and I think the Hokies have a really good and bright future ahead of them.
Alrighty. Where who you got?
I'm going to say
Besides Alabama.
if it's not going to be Alabama, I'm going to say Miami is going to win it all, and I think that Miami. I'll go Miami. I think they beat USC possibly. I'd like to say Ohio State's going to win that game, but it gives them a chance to revenge one of their losses this season. But I'll go Miami.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's enough picking for one show. Oh, you heard it here first. Miami's our consensus national champion. Congratulations to George Yost and all the jinxes we've just put upon him. I look forward to them immediately losing to Florida in a mercy and causing us to all look like idiots.
Hey, I will say this: I picked Florida in that first round matchup, so you won't make me seem like an idiot. But I will. But I've had more announcers jinx than any broadcaster this year, so feel like just pick against everybody that I picked.
I've had a guy get a pick six mid-sentence when I'm praising that quarterback.
You know what? I had
broadcaster of the year.
I had one that year. I had one like that this year. I was like, man, they're in the red zone. They got to feel they're easy. They just got to maintain ball cut pick six. Like
mine was. This is maybe one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the CFSL. Pick six.
I mean, it was a completed pass though, so it is accurate.
Just to the wrong team.
The Cole Mantell method. I see. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I'll give you guys each 30 seconds as usual to talk about your teams, why you will be the national champion. Talk about your locker rooms, all that fun jazz. Padgett, yeah, I like you better. You'll go first. You got 30 seconds.
We were back in the championship. We were in the championship last season. We're back in the playoffs after starting 0-3. Finished the season strong. We got a good matchup this week against Ike. He's my mentor. It's where I came from, and you know what? I just gig 'em Aggies, baby. I feel like we're gonna make a run.
Hey, it's pretty good. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm just proud of this team and what we've done all season. We've taken each week for what it is, not looked ahead. And so right now, worried about round one, and I'm proud of my staff. I'm proud of my team who's bought in. I appreciate them. And I'm looking forward to this first round and making magic happen as long as possible.
Kade, I couldn't hear him. Is he talking? I thought
You
he
know,
was muted there.
David's just looking forward to his potential rematch against A&M, so that way he can get his quote unquote get back for the beatdown we put on him last season.
I
Oh,
mean,
boy.
nothing would excite me more than you getting out of that quadrant. That would be the best thing in the world for me. And
Are you going to put you two on the broadcast too, by the way? If
Oh
that's what it is?
please, oh please, yes.
I think Ware might have a heart attack on air. Like,
I mean, this year's Iron Bowl completely, going into it, my nerves were shot.
mm-hmm.
Cole, you and me called the Iron Bowl together when you were still AD.
It was. I don't want to talk about it. It was not great for me. I had.
It's rough, especially when
I know David tried to get into the booth in place of me, so that way I could get onto Twitch in the Lone Star Showdown with Ryan, but
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Oh boy. Well, it's been a great show, guys. We got a few weeks of playoffs here, and then the off season right upon us. I mean, That's gonna be another. We're gonna bring back the Twitter. We're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So we've already talked about what's upcoming for the show. Make sure you subscribe, like to the channel, all that fun stuff. I hate to be that YouTuber guy, but apparently it's supposed to help your channel grow, and we want that. I've been told. That's all I got for now, guys. I'd like to again thank Kade, Padgett, AD, Texas A&M, David Ware, AD, Alabama, for jumping on the show. This has been the 28th edition of the Cole Mantell Show, and we will see you next week. Have a good one, guys.